Moving on with Chapter 8 study guide, we wanted to start now with puberty, and that's number 12. We're talking about adolescence. We're going to do the physical and then cognitive and socio-emotional of adolescence. Just a couple highlights, that's all we're doing. What changes happen during puberty? Oh, well, of course, all kinds of changes, right? It's a period of rapid skeletal and sexual maturation, so they're growing taller and longer very quickly. And they're also having sexual maturation, so we have secondary sex characteristics coming into play and developing. So lots of changes. I'm not going to go into all of them. Take developmental psych. We'll get more into that. 13. What is personal fable imaginary audience? So these are some interesting cognitive traits of teenagers. This is just the way teenagers are. All teenagers go through this, and it's totally normal. The personal fable part is where teenagers believe they're unique. Nobody has been through what they've been through. Their parents may say, hey, when I was your age, I went through this too. And they'll say, Mom, Dad, you don't understand. Things are different now. And it's true. But every teenager has said that to their parents at every generation because it is absolutely developmentally normal to feel like you are unique, all alone in this, and going through this for the first time. And your situations are extreme. It also makes them think that nothing's going to happen to them, and they may do dangerous things like have sex without protection because they won't get pregnant, or STD, text and drive, drink, drive, this kind of stuff. So they do risky things because they think they're invincible. And then imaginary audience, still number 13. Imaginary audience is where they feel like they're always on stage and they're always being watched, and everything they do is being judged. They have an imaginary audience surrounding them. It's exhausting. You probably remember going through that if not going through it right now. I'm very painfully aware of everything about you, your face, your hair, your clothing, what you've said, how you act. Everybody's watching you and judging you. So that's imaginary audience. Number 14, teenagers at this age is socio-emotional. They are trying to figure out who they are. So they may seem fickle. They may change their music that they like. They change their hairstyles. They'll hang with one group and then decide to hang with a different group of kids. They form cliques. Cliques are groups of people who are similar and exclude people who are not like them. And that is totally developmentally normal. It's the part of figuring out who they are. If they have something in common with some other people, then they can get a sense of identity, and then they don't want anyone new in because it might make them rethink their identity and question who they are. I think Breakfast Club, that movie, is just a perfect example of kids developing identity. Maybe they get in a clique or they get labeled, and then they're saying, that's not really who I am. So they're just having to feel these things out, try on different personas. Number 15, how are we physically? Now we're moving into early adulthood. Early adulthood is 20 to 40, so it's your 20s and your 30s. It's a lot of you guys right now. Physically in early adulthood, man, you are good. You are so good. You are at your peak. 19, 26, you're at your physical peak. All your organs are matured. They're all operating at maximum capacity. You haven't damaged them too much yet with what you're doing. And you feel good. You recover easily. You don't need a lot of sleep. You can eat junk. You don't exercise. You use too much drugs and alcohol. You're not hacking up your lung from smoking yet. So you're very healthy. You don't go to the doctor. That's why they made you get health insurance, because you don't need it. So you'll pay into it and not pull it out. See, you're funding your grandparents. So you're very healthy. But also what's interesting is you're starting to decline in early adulthood too. Your lungs, your kidneys, your weight increases, body fat increases. There's some changes. Balding, hair turning gray. All of this happens in those like 30 and beyond. So it's a peak time, but then you go down that hill. Number 16, true or false? The way you treat your body in early adulthood affects your middle and late adulthood. Yup, sure does. We don't think about it at the time because we feel good. It's not causing us any problems that we know of right now. So we continue to do the things that feel good, okay? But your parents probably can't do them. They're probably complaining that they can't eat ice cream like they used to. Or they have to exercise, or their doctor's telling them they gotta watch their salt. And you don't have to worry about that. You do whatever you want, because you feel nothing. Ain't gonna happen to you. And early adults actually have a health personal fable. They feel invincible health-wise, and that the actions they're doing won't catch up to them. I remember the fable, you're unique with your health. Won't bother me, I won't develop a problem. Number 17, now we're moving into middle age, I think we move into middle age with 17, yeah. But then we jump number 19 back to early adulthood. I need to rearrange that. Number 17, use it or lose it. Is that correct? Is that true in middle age and later age? If you don't use your brain, it won't work so well? Yep, sure is. Yep. They look at the brains of people who did cognitive kinds of work where they had to think, which is what most of you are training for on their job. And they found that their brains, when they died, when they were older, were bigger. They had more connections between those neurons. Remember those neurons we talked about? So their brains work better. So it's true. You need to use that brain. That's what that math class is doing for you right now. So when you're questioning, why would I ever use this math? Well, guess what? Exercising your brain. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it won't be strong anymore. All right. Number 18. Why does memory decline in middle adulthood? Blood flow is some of it. So if you exercise cardiovascularly, you pump blood through your body. And if you do it a lot, it'll actually make some more capillaries to get blood to all the areas. So it increases circulation in your brain and you will think better. Exercise is very important in middle and late adulthood. Let's see. Why else does memory decline? Because you don't use it. You don't practice it. And it may be that there's some health problems. And maybe it's just parts of the brain that just age and don't work as well. Number 19 kind of goes back to early adulthood. Sorry. The crisis of early adulthood. So Erikson believes that at each stage of life, you go through, you come to a fork in the road and you go down one side or the other. And once you go down that side, you can't come back. And so the fork in the road in early adulthood, should have been middle adulthood, maybe I should change that, is intimacy versus isolation. So in early adulthood, 20s and 30s, we're all about hooking up, getting married, dating, getting married, having kids. And if you're able to do that and you have friends and you can, intimacy here does not mean sex. Intimacy means sharing personal information, being close to someone. Then you have intimacy. If you don't, you're isolated and you are trying to find someone. So that's the big deal about early adulthood. Number 20, jumping back to middle adulthood. Sorry. Some physical changes in middle adulthood. Lots of physical changes. So many changes overall in middle adulthood that they sometimes call it middlescence, like adolescence, because it's very similar in all the changing. So some of the physical changes: vision declines, hearing declines, strength declines. We develop chronic illnesses for which we need daily medications like blood pressure and cholesterol and diabetes. We have weight gain and we get shorter and our hair falls out. Isn't that great? Lots of changes. Number 21. What is generativity in middle adulthood? So now we're into emotional stuff. Generativity is the need to give back to the next generation. Older people, and this age is 40s and 50s, up into early 60s. These people love to give advice. They love to pass on what they know. They love to help the younger generation out with all their experience. Sometimes it's appreciated and asked for, and sometimes it's not. But they have a need to do that. This is actually Erikson's fork in the road for middle age. They need to help the next generation and pass on their knowledge and skills. This is the age that worries that nobody's going to know grandma's pumpkin pie recipe when she dies. They're the ones interested in getting it. You just want to eat it right now. They want the recipe because they're thinking about that. Number 22, why is grandma's house so hot? Because her skin is thin. There's not as much fat on her skin, and she can't regulate her body temperature very well. So she gets overheated and she gets very, very cold easily than we do. She doesn't have a good insulation layer like she used to. Same number, 22, I snuck a second one in there. Why does grandpa not enjoy eating as much as when he was younger? because food does not smell or taste good anymore. They've lost their sense of smell and taste have declined. So food just doesn't taste as good as it used to. That's true for grandma too. But food just doesn't taste as good. So they don't want to eat it. That's why we have Ensure and things like that. It was made for older populations because their appetite's lower. 23. Okay, now we're looking at late adulthood. Well, we still work. Grandpa was late adulthood. This is the emotional stuff. So that was some of the physical stuff. And this is the emotional stuff. Activity theory of aging. Everybody has opinions about how we should be old, what we should be like, and what we should be doing. The activity theory says the more active you are when you're in late life, the better your experience will be, the happier you'll be. So get involved, do things, be a part of church, volunteer in your community, work in the elementary school cafeteria. Just do something because activity is better. That's just a theory. It's some people's approach. Other people say the exact opposite. Pull back. Don't do so much. Retire. Don't do so many groups. It's just people's opinion and theories. Number 24, it's basically saying, why are we aging? And there's all kinds of theories we don't really know. If we could know for sure, then maybe we could stop it. It sounds good, right, to us older people. But wear and tear theory says that you just get worn out. Like, you know, at the end of the day, when you're really tired, you've had an exhausting day. You think back over everything that you went through, everything you did, all the bumps and bruises, all the stressors, all the things you worried about, the arguments, the activity, and you think, I'm just exhausted. I can't do this again tomorrow. You go to bed, you get good sleep, hopefully, and I'll be doggone, you're ready to do it again. But you do that day after day after day for 78 years, it wears your body out. You got replacement parts sometimes that people have to get put in. My girlfriend just had a new hip. My uncle just had 2 new knees. Things wear out. So that's just a theory of why we age. We just wear out. And then number 25, the last one. Woo! The free radical theory of aging. So it's another theory, another explanation. I'm working hard on this one. I eat as many antioxidant foods as I can. So the free radical theory says that when we eat, the metabolism process that happens in our cells, the normal things that happen when we eat, cause free radicals, which are unstable electrons that go inside the cell and bounce around and damage it. Some vitamins and minerals, called antioxidants, go in and stop the damage from those free radicals. So that's why eating those foods with antioxidants like blueberries, all the berries, spinach, things like that, are supposed to be good for you when you're trying to prevent aging. You should see what I eat. Oh my gosh. I have a list of antioxidant foods and anti-inflammatory foods. And I try really hard to only eat those. But that's not easy because then there's no meat and cheese, and I like meat and cheese. So I eat that too. But anyway. That's it. That's chapter 8 study guide. We have our test coming up soon.